Every human being is on this path towards awakening, even if unconsciously. If you return to the origin, there is a life force that pulls us back to the source, to the absolute love. And it's always like that. If you take a step backward and start observing, you will notice that it's like a current. And even though it often runs through suffering, because suffering is the fastest way to find our way back home. And deep down, we all long for a place where we no longer suffer. When the human beings suffer, they, I would say, naturally turn their gaze towards the space free from pain. The same applies to humanity as a whole. When the humanity suffers, it looks towards a space free from suffering on a larger scale, of course. That's why so many people are waking up right now. So suffering is tied to the psychological mind and the false appearance of a me, this sense of personhood, the ego. Look into the mind, observe its mechanism, and watch how the ego is constructed. If you are suffering, it's because you are focused on the content of the experience rather than the container in which the experience takes place. Consciousness. So don't focus on the content. Instead, focus on the container. This is the key to find liberation. In truth, you need to shift your perspective from where you perceive. So you need to stop directing your attention towards objects, such as thoughts, emotions, sensation, past, future, and this so-called imaginary me, the ego. And when you stop focusing on these objects, your attention will naturally shift back to its own source. I have already pointed this out several times. And if you are not yet familiar with what attention truly is, you can try this. So, feel the sensation of your right hand. You can feel some warmth, cold, or tinglings. Now, feel the sensation of your left hand. So you move your attention from your right hand to your left hand. So feel your left hand. Now return to the right hand. Move to the left. So you feel that something is moving from right to left. That's your attention. And to recognize what attention truly is, you can try this. Breathe consciously. Take some conscious breaths, mindful breaths. Deep mindful breaths. You can feel that something is expanding beyond the body, beyond the physical body. It was somehow contracted initially. You feel that something is opening up to the infinite. And your natural state is this non-localized expansiveness, attentiveness, centerless as well. and you feel that something is expanding to the infinite. So if you want to awaken, you have to be fully self-conscious, conscious of consciousness itself. I know it's a big word, and when I first heard that, I was like, my mind was like, wow, what does that mean? I have to be aware of awareness itself, or conscious of consciousness itself. So recognize yourself as this unbounded expansiveness, this field of consciousness which exists only now. You are that which perceives, and whatever appears within it, such as thoughts, ideas, judgments, analyze, is not you, because they need a movement through time, and you are beyond that movement. You are what is now, devoid of thoughts, idea, judgment on what is now. So take a moment and observe the nature of a thought, because from one small idea, the mind creates stories, and suddenly, from one tiny idea, you find yourself in Singapore within 5 minutes. That's crazy. You are the space where thought arises. You are not the thought. You are the silence that witnesses the thoughts. So observe closely. Is there a space between you and the thoughts? Observe. Or do you feel deeply that you are the thought? What observes is the real. Physical objects are unreal and impermanent. Emotions are impermanent. Thoughts are impermanent. Energetic experiences are impermanent. These are seen, I would say. So the question is, what remains? So what remains is nameless. We call it consciousness, presence, divine presence, presence of God, but it's nameless. You are what is now, the infinite, indivisible now. But human beings tend to split the now. They try to split the present moment as if one moment is better than another. For instance, I don't like being at work, I don't like being stuck in the traffic, but I love being at home, doing nothing. The now is always the same as being is always the same. This is the timeless now that remains, I would say, unchanged. And beingness, this knownness, cannot be affected by anything. It's all a play of the mind at the end of the day. It's all a play of the mind. So allow the mind to play, but don't play with it. Much love.